I've heard of one of our speakers. Before the speakers come up, e la tina kai kawe I te whaia, ko te whaia, ko he whakamatalanga te ko te ngā whakahilonga te history o te tina tēnei moana ngā wēmana hei. Ko te PhD, te ko te na ki ngā wēmana. Okay. So after each presenter, we will be taking seats up here, and then support the Lord normally to hear presenters. And I just want to make it known also, after each presenter presents theirs, lovely Dr. Rita Timieti has got a gift. So once you finish presenting, you just come down here, and you receive your gift for the presentation. Oh my God, this might be like, Kaya kapatid tapos ko, muna presenters kayo may alala may and after you presented, before thank you. So our first presenter for Mawala Ibao, Maima Koro, she's our PhD candidate. Her area is relational security, rethinking the rules-based order. So, Maima, te kamate namo, e tiri moana. O poi e te papa tautari. Ke la moana te leo, o leo la tia mai. O mai mai te mai tia Dr. Hem, ma tane ko. The mother of two beautiful children, Raka and Himalayas. Maima is a Pacific Research Fellow, where hoki he academic coding. They have Pacific Regional for their perspectives and research collaboration between Adelaide University, the partners funded by the Defence, Science and Technology Group. She's pursuing her PhD, focused on intersection of security, justice and Pacific. Her research interests include Pacific security, geopolitics, development. Maima has over 20 years of international development, experience in the Pacific at national level and regional levels. She presented on Pacific policies to Australia Strategic Dialogue, Safeguarding Australia Summit, Australia Leadership Retreat, including the Asia Pacific Leadership Network. Maima has also taught in Pacific Strategic Priorities, Policies, and a visiting fellow to Australia College of Peace. She has had working experiences Bougainville, Cook Islands, Federal States of Micronesia, Kiribati, Fiji, Nauru, Niue, Republic of Marshall Islands, Samoa, Tokelau, Tonga, Tuvalu, and Vanuatu. She worked for the Pacific Security College at the Australian National University in Canberra before joining the Adelaide University. Let's put our hands together for our presenter, Mawala Ibao, Maima Koro. Ikaw, ito na naman sa iyo. Kemana sama nah kalau belum nolak malu dia kenapa kita nggak kita lakukan itu kalau kita semua kita mau nolak kita usai masih kita usai Julia masih tahu dulu ihal macam mai di yang tua tentang algo para pagmamahal. Vela ko na muna ng ito. Ipokipokya mo mo ito. Sila kasi. Ito makangapat ka. Ito dito mahutang na. Ito dito mahutang na. Iya, dia mai ya percakapan. Itu nanti dia yang topik ni itu. Coba ada kita. Kalau dia lah kayak ya, kita malu ya dia itu what is order? Just looking at this question of what is order. Dia sedang dia main sama dia anak. Kita kumakakiwa nakukuha may chocolate mahal. Na kung nakakamanyang na mahiloa na ideal. Tenana, alo niya tuwa na mabaya niya ko na pa. Kita himahin mo pa niya. Hea habla. Tenana. And that's why for me, it's always an emotional thing. From the beginning to here, every time I have to talk about this, teher napatia owa. Ia mai da mai tini, ebe he mai ko. So, kahaya na nga hetigeyo no mo research, sila do dala sa issue. Kaya na kanwa ko yung mga. Ito na yun na nagweng na yayaw. There was always a tension within me. Awale may na donors na organization, they could know, but the program that do ka pai di ver ma ver e pai delia. Ako ko makakaw de ke ha. De ko na kano de ila ko de tato program de ne ha ta kina ko de police program ni. Ka hai delia. Kai ko na sino na lugar na area ni they're not, they live in their communities. They're not remote from their communities. And that tension came for me when the Hawaii leadership course came. Kaya may sino de ko police commissioner Leo ito mo nandiyan pero may na yan na ako ngayon. Kahit ano din sino prosecute, ano pag-ipon, pag-ipon. Kapag dumato culture, recon culture system. Wala pa mato, dumato culture din may compensation ni. Ano, kaya mo, tenala ba na kama sa territory. I'm trying to put it home. And so I arrived at this question. So how do we understand security? And also, how do we pursue order? Because for the order they're my police order, state order. Kaya kung lo ay no kanya mo, in the village kututuloy na mata. That is order. So I had those questions. They're not going to be questions. So this is really the founding question, the main questions of the original out here. And I'll just give a summary. The net and for the security. For the security, it comes in two forms in terms of na document to. First form is development that we know. But the underlying theme is to secure. Wakahayalay namin yung po, secure. That's the thinking. Then na-idea natin na kayo na makakontrol. So I just, I have questions with non-conformity. And then the picture is incomplete. So I want to touch on this notion here. Because development comes in the two forms, also security. This notion of fear. So fear, then there are two hours. I am not the expert in that. They might be out there a little bit. But basically, somebody had an idea. Because one idea was the other one. They have stuck with the utopia. The utopian world. So that was one thing. Kaya yung dahil na yun, wala may nakikiling na idea yun, kita. Pwede makakagulaki din na because we don't trust people. And hindi ay, kila makakatakbo. And then you can control and build a system around that. So that is in terms of development. And one of the ideas behind the name, Paike model, shift from the community thinking to a state thinking, meaning government system, as we know. Because for the state like they mapaya o na atiakina, o na megua atiakina na mata, and also the state will provide the security moment. Na idea din. Go ahead, honey, can I make your name, but it's just an idea. But the men no more, but the idea the name la, the military power. This is the symbol. The military power, and if you have money, capital. That's the form of power. That is important. Now, in life, the middle and the law is that we just find a mission of faith. Kahit ko idea, mathematical idea, the narrative, it is a fear, it will come. Because the state will support that. And then the last one, Konatino Tuania, Heka Kotona Hidu, Awa, Ea Tino, a Goto na Tumuku, but it has secure in this state. The Tawana Hakata, what the Aidakata, the freedom. And that's when all these ideas come in. And we know that through the rules-based order. So, but the rules-based order, as we know it, really in summary, for the UN system, comes through the structure of the UN system. But for the order that was put together after the war.
so that no more war happens. Pagkatao got the value of the diplomacy, not war. They destruction in that way. So we know that. But in reality, for Christian people, they all that they do. Or not, a development of law, only a few people gain. There's equality, inequality everywhere. The issues are compounding. Some countries are more developed than others. So you dahil mahawaw na yung model day name, if you get rich, you share. Now that's also gone out of the window, but everybody now knows if you're rich, you don't share. Mostly. Me? There you go. So this model now, for Christian enough, and I put that up there, but they posted now with the now more last year. So if you give up because they reformed the system. Awa, kung naman niya itaw na mawa, So we know well, it's contested. And some people also say, well, hey, all the way. And now we look at the Vela and the because one of the big structures before the system they made with the World Bank, the WHO, but there's no funding there. They made that work. So people are saying, well, the order they made was questionable. And some people, the measurement of the threat and no other violence near two sides of the same coin. They might not see them. One is a real threat is that you're not climate change. The other one is a perceived threat. And I put up there China, where I am, everybody talks about China as a threat. And we know that the local the Baharica, China's always been there. So what is real and what is a perceived threat? Who defines security? And whose security matters? So for the response at the regional level, how the regional, the rules-based order, how the is consistent. So now what they're saying now is that, oh no, it's China. So the Pacific response at the regional level with Boy Declaration. The Boy Declaration, the policy, with Tukumai and leaders at the regional level, they might, hey, I go China. They have to make a statement. But the first got the climate change. Iyo na the issues need like drugs, na medicine. And then when you like a strategy get done by the and we know that the Nohonga, that we're also developing our own policies. They match up. But the mayor of the Ta'awa, the Honorable Simon Coffin, the issue of security would disrupt the agenda for development. Because I got to give us security alone, only 3 countries of the Pacific have got military powers. Tonga, Papua New Guinea, and Fiji. Everybody else, it's a different form of order. So, in my whole the idea. So that's your form of order. Fine. We have been complying for over 50 years, over 100 years, over 1,000 years. But the reality of macro order is very different. Power for us is multi-dimensional. There. Able to tupe alone. Police was a program that we took into Tupela. And I always remember I go forward, kaya may na training leo kaya yay. Kaya may lost my maganating no heo my training kaya may ako forward. Nekie, kaya mo ho hitino ay the investigation training. Ano lava ka de tutuhipaya, nekie, nakikabete kaya. Oma the investigation. Eh? So that's our reality. It's not recognized. But so how far have we gone to take over somebody else's reality? Because we have been given the understanding that they know better, that their systems are better. The heritage ma tua ni tuku ni e a mai tukura. So we are proposing that Tiwi Moana is a lot. It's been a very emotional 2 days uh, because all of you here then Tiwi Moana. Tiwi Moana. Then not the order kila kihe na values in live. And I always remember he tahi hawi au na mai ki te au. Ke no, mai no, o tatou tino, Down here, they are love God. You have to love one another, love the land, love everything else before you can come and say you love God. And I go, okay, that is a very good lesson for me. And also the notion of solidarity, because the thing about fear is to divide and conquer. It comes through policies, it comes through many forms. You find it in the education system, you find it in the health system, you find it in any of those structures. There, my name. No, because what po mau po. Dami no mai me, ya oite na po hiubo. But who's suffering? Who keeps living the issues? So there, e a mai te la. E a mai te la. Because these things are hitting our shores. Who's introducing it? Sometimes it's so easy for us to look out and say it's outside. They could be me. They look very confident. So I am the methodology they might have to palang how they have research about that. Okay, no PhD. But just those three principles in a way, in summary, but the memo is something I know in my Samoan. It's only a word I know in Samoan, but it's a word that I know everywhere else in the Pacific. It's how we do things. Because the Lagolangi to our Guinea, there's always power over. I tell you, sign this, it's been done. So I love to do. So nobody, everybody, it's not about power. It's all about collaboration, working together. Now that is my colleagues here can know it better than me. Yeah, and then so far, I keep it very simple. It's a very big concept, but 4 principles I take my concept in there. The values are not very enough. Know when to speak, know how to speak, know what to speak, and know where to speak. Know your place. Something my dad always reminds me. And then I'm only here because of the knowledge. Knowledge is gifted. If it's not gifted, I don't pursue it. So I do conduct pieces, I do a publication, I had to publish. And part of me publishing it also, you know, they might not follow me. Kahit ko na ko publish ko doon na ko yung dahil sino ka magpilitaw ng mga audio naman din, they. So, the mahawag din yung bring it on. I come from a very deep ocean. See how far you can dive when I do. And one of the things I do is say, nothing makes sense if it's not good. Nothing makes sense. That's my starting point. So all of my work, I put in Tokyo and the Pacific. Nothing makes sense. Because they try to do that with me, and I say, I will fail. E aí depende da teoria tio mo na dela so mo. E aí do nephew the go back and go yeah tio mo. But I was really inspired. I'm not a poet, but I wrote that for my poet. I am named after my father's mother. And when I wrote that, I put it in that tio mo on the paper. I imagined what she would say and think of him when he lived. So I'm gonna, sorry, I know it doesn't make sense, so I'm not a poet, but I'm gonna try and read it. Halo takutama na noho kahon. Halo takutama na noho idena. Tiu goi mo. Tiu goi do maho. Tiu goi ke he hala. Tiu. Kikila lite. Kote ngadu e pere. Kai vitoi anana. Tiu. Tiu koe te pupatu te mo. Tiu mo. So ye nao ka mātua. Mātua ka. Mana aku jalan mau dibuka. Ano, tayo pats-patsahan mo. So now it gives me great privilege to introduce to you Dr. Silvia Pavita, who is of Tongan descent, born and raised in Ndonga. She holds a Bachelor of Science from the University of the South Pacific, Fiji, Bachelor of Science 1993, a Bachelor in Dental Surgery from the Fiji School of Medicine, Fiji. She gained a postgraduate diploma in health service management, diploma HSM 2008, a master in health administration MHA 2009, both from Flinders University, South Australia. She is a doctoral candidate completing her doctorate in professional practice at the Otago Polytechnic in New Zealand. She met her husband, Pedro Alabati Pavite, at the Fiji School of Medicine, Suva, Fiji.
Together they moved to reside in Tokelau and has lived there for more than 20 years. During this time, Dr. Tawite and Alapati Tawite published the research on suicide in Tokelau, Pacific Health Dialogue 2009. In 2012 to 2021, she served as a Director of Health Tokelau. Dr. Tawite has reviewed several system reviews and assessed project implementations in the area of health, education, human resource development, and community empowerment, including early childhood, that's meant for early childhood, and inclusive education, social protection, and disability policy for Tokelau. In her current role, she is a health consultant under the South Pacific Community SPC, supporting Tokelau in developing the Tokelau National Non-Communicable Disease Plan 2026 and 2030. With her husband Magdalene as the Aliki Waipule Anono, Minister of Finance and Health in Tokelau, Dr. Tawite is also the president of the Whakapaipai Women's Organisation Nukunoni. Her life journey revolves around the life of the Tamamani as a public servant, a wife, a mother to their son Benny, Ahoropa Teutu Tawite. In the Whakapaipai, this has empowered her to research focused towards strengthening Whakapaipai leadership. E aloha ana, e aloha mia te remanati o Tautiti, ma Whakapaipai o te lau. Malo.
Ke hapai te langi. O kuloa te te kōrua te whakātua. Te whakāroka ngā te aina. Kai mai he nā mātua mātutua. Kua tautoko mai raka ua te tātou mātutanga i te whakāroka. E manatua o tātou tupuna kua olo i te hea. Awana tau toto kia tāna nuku. E pāpia te tātou i te aini. Kau e tuka te kōke. Kai toke lau te hai tamamani. Ko au ko he tamabana ua te kona. He tamaha kama haka o ki o kutala. My life journey. E vene message in a bottle. It's a long story. I tayo mo na hano ayaw ni toke lau i te iwa pitu. Te gina ito matua di ako sila. Ko yola i tamanga di abaka. Ko loa ni matua i haoni te hai buai i kunoni. Kai tike au i te hai. Ko une anu ki lalo i kano te. Kai kalana mo. Dia, haki lalo i tāpena na. Laki lalo kai taria. Ko ue ki hau ke tai nao tau ka te hai pua. Kai kalana mai. Ko ue ki te atu koe ke hau. Tātua namani. Ko tō i loa e lea. Ka ko hau na batama pele. Kai he kai. When I went to Tokelau, my life journey had taken me in so many challenges. I Tokelau, I knew and I know none have gone through the challenges that shaped who I am today. I'm the eldest of 3 daughters. My father died early in life, and I took up the responsibility for my mom and my siblings. And from there, I knew that women have the potential. E hanoa ki Tokelau, I love, like what I said, te gili ama he tino ko hanu te hapaipai hano lava. Te mea lama te oho tau amo. Isa hikai me lia mai, ko koe heki invite ka leto, he ni ka koe invite, pa ona na puna. Ka hai loki au e whano me ka tarano te mātukia mai ma. You've got to find a place at the table. Ka ko au, I find my place and also the opportunity to talk. Heki lia mai heki. I am trying to explain what lies behind my research, and I call it an inquiry, because there's no answer there for me to find. I have to explore. I te noho noho ngā ki tātou I toke lau, I saw the potentials for women, and that's where I started. Meron kayo mo ano ka eh, tapo inquiry. Kaya alohaan na, kaya alohaan niya din manati yung kapila. Sorry, I'm so emotional about it because they violated the invitation for me to come. Kapag mahawag, kung may yung kamu, iyo ko tayo yun din. Kaya malo ni may lawa kaya ko kaya ko kaya si. O kaya ito, kung baka hanapin lahat, o ito help. Magwaw ka, waw ito hindi mo nung kamu. Kahit kahit tinatatalang nato ay nakatibakan na ito kung kinuhayaw ito mga. Pwede, pagkututenin, waway ko nga bilang. Kawai itu may tekir mali dia kan mata-mata may nakamakan ito kailangan nila. I can stand here, you can stand here. In the last couple of days, I have been sitting and listening to the diversity and the multitude, wealth of experiences, wealth of information, and the capacity for the global network they may have. This is exactly what Tokelau in Tokelau means. We need to connect the dots. Kaya hobe ko to experience ito nga, then I have a lot of what they know for them on. Tapos ako mga kao, tapos niya KFC, kasi pamaya yung ito. Kasi pakamuan mo ay nga, to develop a framework that our TT especially can reach out to boost their morale, their self-esteem, develop their leadership capacity in any time in their life. Because that's what I did. I've done a lot of work in Tokelau. Magodilahin na kayo, kapalwa de tamang kagtitig hetulang na mena, kuwan pakute self-esteem. Awa ehenge, okate muy o dato yuko. And I thought because it came through when we did the suicide study. Kung natamang ba, nagawa manilidea kite patibaba. Kahaya kung tawag plan si te polo dito, it will always grow towards where the light comes. Kahit ko ibuli kay makahapon, no, di ko lang makita may haway nila. Because that's what life is about. So if you keep muy kihetino, ko uli lang ang hate grow. So the purpose of why I want to do this, so that Ikaw ay makauhaw ay may henuro. Because that's what life is. There are so many factors that affect the life journey. Thing. May nakakatawa sa mga. So that in one way, kahit tato tamo kapay niluto, may mo kay mo biye. To ay go yahawi ay hanupete. And that's what I'm trying to do. When I first thought of it, I was in Mawabene, who can help me, like what I was sharing earlier. Then I went to the Capo Polytechnic, they provided me with the skills, provided me with the support. This is why. Kaya taniya may mo na kamo kaya may, ang tao ng mamo na kong natin. Diba ay tao natin. It has to be based on the Tokelau culture, because that's where we find sustainability. The context of Tokelau. I wanted to put it up here because the Tokelau, when I was trying to do my ethical approval, then I thought, na-examine the context of Tokelau. Like, we don't have a hair with what? Oh, it takes the hours to get here. A hair calico. A hair calico is and they are in New Zealand. You know, we are colony of New Zealand, and I expected them to really accept what I was trying to explain. I put it there because one of the main challenges that I saw was the Nato transportation system. But I also put it there, well, you're not too well, not very, I mean, but really the right mouth or the whole mouth. Why you don't there. And then another PhD, you've got to find the right time to get it right. For that to tao may katuwa may tao di mga katuwa. When my ay nabe ko ko kaya ya go with you kay kalan mo di ang nagtutulong ng mga kay tao mga we have very strong Christian faith. And that is one of the key because we have very strong communal culture, social cohesiveness. Te whakaaloa, tau o te wā, wai mea kata, te alo whani. Na vai mai e nā te e nai atua iau mana tua le tātou te tunas. A reko tapitali tēnā kai te mātuna. E manu ia ia toke la, ka kua he e la wako ngā. It can be positive, it can be negative. Kai kehe lawa ki tāua mua tātari. Kaua mana vai nā marele, e a koe la mai judge, e a koe la mai kai. Ka ti te au, koe e te hui. E e nā hui ngai le te, e e hoki nā hui, e he nā tua le te. In my experience working in Tokelau, the Laima Matai Neolog Matokai consultation, the quality of life for the definition of quality of life differs from people. The idea of they go out. Now we have to talk. The health of the quality of life in Tokelau is better. Our higher they have to do. I mean, quality of life differs depend on your definition. Kakuang ne ko ang pakatokela. Ini ay to that Tokelau. Wahe to hala. They go na. The background, and that's where my inquiry starts. Here they are. The quality of life is a reflection of the decision I made. I made the decision to follow my heart all the way across Samoa to Tokelau. But I found quality of life in Tokelau. We could be different from you. So, we talk about how the fighting that we go to improve the quality of life, we have to improve the quality of our decision making. Because it's all about our choices. Like for me, ko ilo kino na mea ko mahima, kite NC, kai ka. It's my choice. Because the social cohesiveness in our communal culture for Akutonukai, and the next person to me. Okay? And this is where I want to lead. So if we can improve the quality of our decision making, we can improve our leadership capacity. And if we do that, then we'll have a positive impact on cultural changes. Who can do that? That's where I got the Fakultas. Because of my experience as a Fakultas. And that's where I developed my study. E hoka tulo watu kinatoa ini majua identity of Hakawina. Ita ko kakaroon na kita ng mga nakatokelao. Dena te Tokyo kitao walo ka kapay. Ita ko ako kitao ako he tamang te manutya. We play a pivotal role in our family. We loto tato nuku na mohonomonga loto demand. We nurture the future generations of Kokela. So we play a pivotal role in the future generation of Kokela. Ito matoka na yung ikahitu na yete pai o he wale na ituwa dewa. Wama hindi ego te ate na ye kaya na wale sa. And that's where I was empowered. Porque atinga, porque pai kule Kokela. Awa ni himay, balo de simendia y kahit. So when I went to really analyzing, that is the non-Oman our social cohesiveness, the communal culture behind us. And if we can love the environment, then malete de non-Oman. And that's where I developed my research methodology. Like what I said, I had already thought of what I wanted to do. I wanted to build the capacity of the Hatupai. Looking at the political arena, ye nantu Hatupai logo, may nantu kahit logo de hong country. Tabulengan nun, ye namatay pati. So there is potential to have a first female Ulu. And I'm saying this with confidence. But we have to empower our women. And one day we can drive a change. So the concepts of the Atinga, of the Naluela de Hatuma, of the Pai, for the research methodology, they follow up with the process. Pai de Satinama, they will find out about to Pakabahay na Hatu, Hati, Okola, Pakabayan now, the Valley of I translated the whole process into my Pakabahay research, design, and methodology. Our my happy people here. What would be the most appropriate, culturally appropriate methodology to bring out what I wanted as outcome for our people? Most of the time, for a degree because this is what I have been trying to help the women, is to empower them. So this is why I was trying to do this, so that I can be comfortable in my research methodology that will bring out what I wanted as the outcome. So my research, for the role on Atoyaina, you know, nangalwe na umalilito kilaw ide law to go na so ya ina. Hawa bodo kita na siwo ni ibu kunon siwo te ke ito na design siwo te. Hawa ide professor yo ya te tayo professor. Kahit kalong-kalong na ito kay kamanak yan uwi tamay de kita. Tagawa le atu professor la tilato biya male hindi ade professor ito kailan. By the seawall, with the Baumaharet, Batongarepa, Epo. And that's where I wanted to take advantage of the indigenous knowledge. That's why I wanted Fatu Barbano, because it's all relying on the indigenous knowledge. I got to interview the Renata Fatu Kaliaman. A lot of them not going to the party and going. They just know. How do they know? I don't know, but they just know. If the find that we're going to know my name, they're going to it works. They knew what they were doing. So this is where the Fatupai model comes through. So instead of telling Natoyaina, I have the Bible Mama. And you know, I go ahead and know what I'm going to go. They are not going to Mama to Matua, a Popoto Lava Pecoa. And this is what I was telling this Palani. I don't know, they just know. They are going to be a one Lamita to Popoto. Why they buy a lot of intelligence. So I gave this group of women in Lukunon, they buy Panama to Matua, they work with me. And that's part of the methodology, just like the Toyaina did find out the acting out the bad. So this is more or less like what we do. We have 3 sites. One, women leaders in the Bible. Because I trust what the was or were impacted by missionaries. So that's why I was interested to find the experiences and leadership qualities of women in the Bible. But the with the specific women leaders and as well as Tokela women leaders. Because the other 2 changes is when we became a colony, decolonization, colonization, decolonization. So those changes have some impact somehow. And the other one is modernization. Everyone in Lukunono, for example, is at home. And although I the living room kind message, I had that two boys. Facebook. I mean, it's happening. Wahai talk to you, take the man to a casino, Tago High School, Pawaya to a Vavia today, I take one of the satellite to have what they free kind of So those are the changes. So I wanted to see what were the changes that affected our women and what are the risks for the future. So that's why I have these 3 sites in Mato Yao Maya Napatu. Kahit ko Mato Tama Mayena, Manatua ko ako sa research, nagpa pa naman to Diocese 86, and I'll talk about it. To be able to make sure that whatever we develop works for Tokelau, it has to be taken in the Tokelau. The process of developing policies, rules, or whatever it has to go through. And I wanted our town media to have input to it. I wanted our youth to have input to it. So that it becomes a best buy approach. Because in order for us to make sure that this works, it needs everyone around you. So that's why kahit ko ako nandetang, mag-oelo ikarit na nuko malele, yung Maria because maybe in the next 3 years, so that is the whole research process. At the moment, ko umateapat with the Bible, We have done some work and we are now doing, because they see them, who to look, I work with them, they have to tell me, hey, you have to go and look for proof for, nine more of the Bible. And I tell you my experience, muna iya pagkabiyahan. Kumukuha ka ito nga din, because I have to translate, hindi ko kailangan to translate ko pa pala ni kahit kaya ito, for rules na kaya ito kaya, kaya ako na ulit din, they get very, well, yeah, so this is our program. They come every morning and they are very, very professional in the way they do things. In the Mato Mahutana, maybe you heard Colette passed away. Colette was part of Colette Tumwa. She was part of my group. And when we started, I recorded everything. And they had to write a sentence every day. This is not part of my work, but I wanted to record something with them. So after 3 weeks, I put together their lines into a song. So I brought it to them and they started singing the song with their own tune. And they come up with their own tune. So I learned so much from them. They have empowered me and so is I to them. And this is an outcome or outcomes that I didn't foresee from doing this work. So I just wanted to share with you, these are some of the photos of things because, they change the program whenever they want to. And take it over, they have to do Malay or even and they don't care. Fine lava, kahit lava dyan. So, yeah. Kalendo, hay tayo po. Lato lang at pinitene yung o lato lang at yung
No, malo lang ito ang niya. Mula sa kaya,
Malo lava oil. Our next speaker. I am not going to do justice when I read this out to capture the state of the matter of the name in Hana Yogato. So they are looking for Anna Litia Kuka. Damay si Manoko. Kaya yung anak ako nangakwa, Filipino maata. She was born in Taupo, Aotearoa, Pinoho. And she has lived and worked in the region of Wellington Cold War for most of her life. Then not that good. Dialogue dedicates her studies and her journey to her late parents. After Malisone Kipon, whose love, guidance, and sacrifices continues to inspire her lifelong commitment to education and to her community. That blessing of over 30 years experience in education, mainly in early childhood, Lealofi has taught in both mainstream and also the Pacific Early Childhood Education Centers. She is a leader. Of course she is a leader. Her leadership includes roles as supervisor and head teacher across the Porirua Wellington region and as a school coordinator in Tokela. She contributed to the Tokelau language guidelines and was the Pacific writer for the 2017 update of the Te Whāriki to Lo, New Zealand's early childhood curriculum. Lealohi is also a published author of the article Her Essence, Aloha Haitama Manu, Giving Yourself Wholeheartedly. Education that matters to Tokelau people in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Last year, Lealohi joined the Tui Tuia Learning Circle in Auckland University as the Pacific facilitator, delivering Tapasā Pacific cultural competencies across Hawke's Bay, Auckland, Horurua, and even here in Wellington. Alongside her professional roles with the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Pacific Peoples, Lealohi is deeply committed to voluntary community work, co-founding the Taki Lama Study Hub and serving as education lead for Te Kāinga Whakaoho Wellington and Whatu o Te Aloha, a health and well-being community group. And of course, she's here because she is currently pursuing her doctorate in education at the Victoria University of Wellington. Having lived and worked within communities that are vulnerable, her aspirations in life are to amplify the voices of Ngāta Manu, the voices of the vulnerable Mate Aloha with love. So, of course, it's not by coincidence that her thesis is ko hakanauno mātua mo he mapua mo Tokelau, the hopes and dreams of Tokelau parents and families within New Zealand's early childhood city. Please put your hands together for President.
I'd like to dedicate a song to our loved ones that cannot be with us. So my phone, I need my love. Ito bawa, ito makalawa, lahi. Ito talo ba ito ay ito naman mo kung makatahimay tene ya magtawa. Itamay mana wa kapila maloni malote o dunia. Hehe tulanga mahani tene tua tuene mo kono utaman no tomatua but my case tua pakai tambah ya ini sama kita lewat di tambah mobile kopi. Kalau nawa o hayang mahua iba to akong tamata. I will select knowledge on the knowledge holders That there's, also the doctors and academics, scholars, amazing people in the house, I salute you all. Um, when I started, what I'm about to share with you is just a window, a glimpse into some of my own lived experiences within my education journey. Um, as I was growing up, I grew up in a, the whole, Lama Wake, being a very tight-knit family and a tight-knit community. Of my siblings, involved in the family, the community, they were here for me. My parents always took the time, especially during my war. She always took the time, as busy as she was, as busy as our community, our area, she would always take an interest in what I did and what each and every one of my siblings did. Mato e o lake, mato he kaina, he kaina o kāloha. My mum made our clothes and she made our toys. I remember a time they put a pepper. I was probably only about 5 years old. And the Tamanavao, a child's imagination, you have to create your own imagination, making your own toys with what little resources you have. So I started making this little doll's house. My mother, so she came over, I showed her, take it out, so tama ipa na tamaki ko na lamang ko ba utang ko kaya tayo tamaki mo na pete na dogs. When you pay attention to our children, everything is possible. The finest details, the little smile, the little gesture, you open up your world for them. Last week we celebrated our language week. The highlight for me, as I was walking through Dele Yowe, maybe your pity, Malung Henry, your pity, I was busy, but Auntie Luffy, that is my highlight. Because 5 years from now, Malatua Filato, Latino Nara Lopa, Latino Nato Tokama Pina, then I hope and they will carry them through the life story. So the aim of my study, the purpose is to look at our early childhood education and help strengthen and sustain our language, culture, identity for future generations. It focuses on the experiences of Tokelau early childhood teachers in Lotana Kongama here in New Zealand. Te whakawai te pāhiki is our early childhood curriculum guidelines. Iela te whakuponga I te tui tēnā is rere mai that teachers, we as teachers, must nurture the mana of every child. I think equally important, we must nurture the mana of teachers. We must look after our teachers as well. So guided by the Tokela values that underpins Inati. It explores how the wider practice of Inati can help strengthen Waitnākaya former engagement in early childhood. Te winga taku karate now. Also in my teaching career, na he tokalahi na hayama pā, na he tokalahi na hayama tokelau. E ola ke during my teaching journey, it was only, maybe I can count on one hand, Pacific, let alone tokelau. Na he ni tokelau during that time. And I felt that we were always, hey, Lena, hey, I'm gonna be a, hey, koe lo pe haka takatala, but I always felt that we were missing. When I became an educator for educators, I started teaching teachers in early childhood. Te tahi ahe, te pira wao, ko te whaiama hea moa, te ronga. Te pira wao, ko te tahi tino, ve mai lava. Hey, where's your people? Where are your people? Tau vena teki, yo hoki vena heavy week te leo e hai mai, it was in an office situation. I toko loto nau, loto heonga, loto tū. Hiri a yoki e, but how do you know what do you mean, where are my people? Rowella, she had organised some professional development for teachers. Hei tingana for te hanga a kongama te korela, and not many people turned up. Ko tō maha hane, ko hei hora taunga mai nei, so that someone familiar can go along and support her. So seeking on this journey, this is why I started this journey in the doctorate education, is to find out what are the experiences of our teachers, what is going on for our people, or how much does the education system understand about me as a Somalite. The methodology that I'm using for this is critical pedagogy, interpretive paradigm, specific research approaches including Talanoa or Talanoa, the Waka in Ngāti. The participants that I use for the study, e vai a kongamata e te tako I longa le he kahalani hoki. It's just, a great opportunity to find out, but it's also a challenge because e tako I longa le tinte Katanolanga, tinte, because we're such a tight knit community. But anyhow, the centres that I selected were from Auckland and Wellington. But the outcome that I got from this study is to let the government know, or let the policy makers know, put more publications about what is important for us in Tokelau. I'd also like to acknowledge Nila MCO, who has Zaleka Moda, who have worked tirelessly towards the curriculum guidelines and developed this idea of Ngati. So, my idea is to work around Ngati, but I want to look what is beyond Ngati. What are the processes that must take place before Ngati? Ngati is the outcome. It's the outcome of what needs to happen before we receive our share of Ngati. Some of the findings from my research so far, Yena Laina Yene, or Hula Yena Tamwana Yene, that some of the findings, some of what these teachers have been saying spirituality is so important, Christianity is so important in education. Te Whāpea Roaki. A lot of our teachers in Ngā Kongamata, they're not just teachers, their parents, their grandparents, and their children are in the same centre. And so then to be asked to attend a professional development after session, it's a lot to ask. All our teachers, they have hopes and dreams. All our teachers have iara tina for our children. So to make assumptions that they kuheo tēnā whakatanga mai iehea o tātou tino, get to know us. We have our aspirations. Yeah. Professional development was really, really important. In our challenges, in our hula, in our findings so far, and I highlight they are tired. There's a lot going on for them. As I say, they play multiple roles. They're not just teachers, they are community leaders, they are grandmothers, they are. Some have said that they're not getting the support that they need from our community. The parents, some have said that they need more Tokelao speaking teachers. So if you know somebody that is a really good Tokelao speaking teacher, please go along and encourage them to support our Tokelao Kongamata. One more finding that has come through the Lahimana, Yena Hayama, especially the New Zealand born, they will make their mark and Takala, because they often get judged or. So these are some of the findings. Especially because I'm a New Zealand born, to support my children towards identifying and understanding the Tokelao culture, to be immersed in their culture, whatever Munakini, so that Tokelao is not forgotten, not to forget our forefathers or our ancestry, to carry on for children, the Tele Son more. What I had to, during my whananoa, during the research, there's a lot of pride, there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of despair, there's a lot of need for support. So these are the values that has been guiding my research, the values that underpin Inoxi. A lot of lucky, lalo po ko namin kung ano mo dako, alo ka ito naman, papalo, pagalo aki, mauposo, o kasyo lele.
Before our next speaker comes up, we'll just have a quick icebreaker, just a few minutes, and then we'll have our next speaker. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. Stand up and have a stretch. And I think our next speakers we're going to stick to our 5 minutes that we've allocated. 5 minutes. Yeah, really. Go. Dr. Pop. Hey. Tangi mai le taika. Tangi mai le buffalo. Tangi mai te povi hawine. Ya, berkait tangi lah. Pilih. Hot, hot, Robert, Robert. Hey, Tiger, Buffalo, Obla, Dibla, da, hey, yeah,
Of the Malawian and European descent, friends, cultural and roots in Mozambique, with family connections across the Gulf and Atlantic of Malawi. Born and raised in Dunedin, she has also lived and worked in Christchurch, Wellington, and the United Kingdom, experiences that have shaped her broad outlook and deep commitment to Pacific communities, both at home and abroad. Currently, Fran is the manager of Wao Kautai Center for Pacific Health within the Division of Health Sciences at the University of Otago. With nearly 25 years of service at the university, she plays a pivotal role in supporting Pacific research, student success, and community engagement. She is currently completing a doctorate of business administration where her research explores Pacific female leadership within a Western tertiary institution, grounded in the Tokelau leadership concepts such as Inati and Fatibaibai. Her work seeks to develop a culturally sustaining leadership framework that honors Pacific values and reimagines leadership within institutional spaces, recognizing the invisible threads of leadership woven by generations of Pacific women. Fran dedicated her studies to her family, especially the women of her family. Her mother, Helia Nicolau, grandmother, late Elena, and the generations of Tokelau women whose strength, wisdom, and service continue to guide her path. An active member of the Dunedin Tokelau community, she serves on its executive and continues to champion initiatives in language, culture, and well-being. Her leadership philosophy is grounded in Pacific principles of service, collective responsibility, and care, values that guide both her professional and community roles. Fran sees her journey as part of a wider collective story, one that honors the past, uplifts the present, creates pathway for the next generations of Pacific women leaders. Tato Patipati Mai, mo Fran Cox.
I'm going to give the opportunity to present to you today. I promise I will stick to 5 minutes. Maybe 5 minutes and 37 seconds. I will try and do that. So today I hope to share my presentation with you, which is an overview of my research, which explores how Tokelau leadership values, particularly the Whakapaiwhai Ngāti, can be woven into a Western tertiary institution. Leadership in higher education is often defined through Western models or Western paradigms that value hierarchy and individual success. Yet Pacific women lead from collective, relational, and culturally grounded frameworks. This gap challenges sustainability, as institutions often overlook the social and cultural aspects that sustain Pacific well-being. My research aims to align institutional practices with Pacific leadership values to foster a more inclusive and holistic approach to sustainability. So I'm exploring and affirming Tokelau female leadership through Hoka Whaiwhai and Ngati, values that guide how we care, lead, and serve. Working in a Western tertiary institution, I've come to see that these principles aren't just concepts that I study. They're actually part of how I live and lead every day. Others have recognised that in me before I've seen it myself, and this realisation has been both humbling and empowering. My project is my way of naming and honouring those invisible threads of leadership woven by our elders and held quietly in the soul. For the Ngati system, Tokelau cultural practice that governs the sharing of food and communal resources. It ensures that all members of the community receive a share. And as a leadership value, it speaks to fairness, visibility, and taking care of others. And it's about ensuring that no one is left out. And Hoka Whaiwhai has that responsibility for ensuring that the resources are shared equally and fairly, decisions are made collectively, and importantly, most importantly for me, that family well-being is maintained. Leadership as a Hoka Whaiwhai can be characterised by a community-centred and nurturing approach, integrity, trust, resilience, holistic and fair decision-making, and advocacy and representation. So their role is not about hierarchy, but about leadership, service, and stewardship, guiding the family with compassion, justice, and strength. So for me, we know that Hoka Whaiwhai is truly the foundation stone of our families. So if we look at this slide, when I think about Hoka Whaiwhai, when I think about Ngati, the first two people I think about are my grandparents, Elena and Palau. And then I think, Ngati, I took that picture last year in Tokelau, and so my first time I saw that practice was over 30 years ago, and to see that it's still happening today, this really warms my heart. When I think about Hoka Whaiwhai, I think about those women on me that I have watched over my life. So these women in this photo, half of them aren't here today. And so whether I spend a little bit of time with them here, in Dunedin, around my community, or in Tokelau, they've been a significant part of me when I sat back and I observed and I think about their leadership, what they did, how they cared and how they served. So it's my message as I want to honour them as well. So my research asks how leadership can reflect Tokelau values within systems that are not designed for us. It explores the expression of Tokelau female leadership within universities or institutions and examines how these spaces can better accommodate specific values such as relational leadership, cultural sustainability, and collective responsibility. So my goal is to design a culturally grounded leadership framework that supports inclusive and sustainable institutional practice. And I've put a picture of a hibiscus here because a hibiscus reminds me of my nana. So I want to honour her and have something that connects me to her. So how am I going to do this? Well, I'm going to have focus groups that are going to include Tokelau Matua, women and men alongside collaborators or participants who are Tokelau female leaders in Western tertiary institutions across the country, and also female leaders, Pacific female leaders of any descent working in a university setting. Because I'm from Dunedin, I work in Dunedin, my community is in Dunedin, I actually want my design and my research to focus on Dunedin to actually highlight both my community and the people in our community as well. All work will be carried out respectfully, guided by Tokelau values, Analysis and transcription will be by myself and my supervisor, and an advisory group, and then hopefully we'll then take the feeds back to those that have participated in the research so that they can help us guide the way forward and the next steps. So this research highlights that leadership is not about one person at the top, it's collective, relational, and deeply cultural. Top around women show great resilience as they work in two worlds, holding fast to specific values while navigating risky systems. The leadership is about sustainability, growing the next generation, and keeping our culture alive. And I believe that by recognising these values, universities and institutions can move towards being places where Pacific staff and students truly thrive and not just survive. Places that honour both culture and knowledge, care and leadership. So, okay, Balagleri, I leave you with the best view in the Pukana. Thank you for the time that you today.
Could I just invite the presenters, Francis Cockles, Marina, Monmole, and Lealopi, and Silvia, Dr. Silvia, please to come up. Kahila pa yun, kahili mo Monmole, Dr. Community, Mano Lapatel Nahai. And we really Namakuri and they who have, who have just presented, and then after we've had this moment, then we break off to afternoon tea, and then we come in for the next group that's coming up. Is there anybody here who's got any questions? One more.
Mali de ba ngomong tu na research de bai. Lahi lama de ba ma biano o mantu o ko ka be ho la tong tak tak ko ka ni ko ko ta ku. Ike na ni poti na ho mai na hai la tu ma be mai. Ito ke la ito ka down in 1960 and 1980. Dr. Ian Bryan and the team make the medicine hospital. Na iloi tato. The man nahi abhyata or the hospital. Ni ain't the one they on a iloi tato thing. Ai tato kalono kita boleh tato mai venua de o lagi ke todo alguma mas chuca aí tá colocando o tudo dentro do lado. Então eu vou ter na minha a hora aí nem tem conhece eu pouco dado. Nada goleria por não vai dar todo o tempo. Olha só não vai que eu tô a study vai mas tô research vai. Ou não como dar o dia que eu não vai fazer viu o que eu lá. Que eu lá na eu lá que lá tô na eu na até aí